Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? So looks like the maintenance period is over for the Hyperdash Grand Prix, and I just wanted to cover all of the data download updates and all the information that's come out since maintenance completion. A couple of things, so I'll just go to the news, and one of the items is the addition of maps 6 and 7. So I'll go through each of the map areas and kind of give you a brief overview of the types of courses and the requirements in terms of like settings and stuff like that. So before we get into all that, we'll just go through it one by one and talk about the individual news piece by piece. So the first one is one of the things that's been kind of talked about in a little while, I've come to find out, is basically the equipment upgrades aren't being reflected accurately. So there's been kind of a lot of issues behind it. I've noticed a lot of Japanese players have complained about it, and I think it's finally being addressed. So basically there's a couple of variations of equipment upgrades, like the gear enhancements and power combination for the upgrade isn't necessarily having any sort of effect. So that's one of the highlighted items that I've noticed when reading through the Twitter feeds and whatever. But regards to that, they basically announced that they're looking into it. They're not really exactly sure as to what's causing the problems, but at least it's been addressed in terms of they're actually identifying that it is a problem. So that's pretty much the takeaway for that. The next one is pretty much just upgrades to like the functions and that took effect with the maintenance. It's not really that important. I'm not going to cover it. Some of the highlights with that is basically the maintenance required for the new banner and stuff like that. So I'm not going to cover the premium missions with the shops or whatever. I'm keeping this strictly free to play. So unless you want me to really cover the information regarding sales and whatnot from the actual currency shop, I'm probably not going to focus on it as much as I typically would with like Dokkan Battle, for example. All right, and then the next one is basically the color pickup red banner. So basically this is a special banner based on a certain color type. Of course, you have like the low one-way front wheel with also the bearings and the spoilers and the other wheel bearings and whatever, and the front stays and whatnot. It's currently under maintenance right now. I don't know if there's a whole lot of value in terms of like going in on this banner unless you want to dress up your Mini 4-wheel drive a certain look. I don't know what the parameters are necessarily, but it looks like most of these except for one are the specialty for avoiding course outs. This one's the corner special type of equipment, but outside of that, I don't really know a whole lot about it. And again, the banner's not available right now. It's still under maintenance, so I don't know what the exact specs and whatever are. So let's move on to the information about the new maps 6 and 7 being added. This is actually pretty nice, but because it's a good way to get some more gems and find ways to get the parts and item upgraded. I guess you can call it medals that you would need to essentially get them to 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star. So I'll take a look here in a second as to exactly how the map's laid out, but in terms of like additional information, basically some of the prior summonable banners where you could actually get EXP items for it. So this is Cyclone Magnum, Manta Ray, Victory Magnum, and Vanguard Sonic. So these guys you can actually get EXP for based on the addition of map 6 and 7. So that'll be useful if you have those and you're looking for ways to improve the body for those parts. All right, let's keep going. Of course, 6 and 7, you'll have to clear the previous maps in order to progress to the new one. So it's probably obvious, but just wanted to make that footnote. The last thing I've noticed, well, two more things, but this one is basically signifying that with map 1, for a total of 5 stages, the max levels you can go through is increasing from 20 to 30. So again, another way to get some potential EXP and also additional, metals and whatever you need for parts and equipment. It's probably going to help out. I haven't taken a look again as to what exactly they are, but depending on what they might be, they could potentially be pretty useful. So let's go to the last one, which is the Hyperdash Grand Prix information. So there's like clear time missions based on that. Starting, I guess, with the season 11, I believe, is when this is going to be taking effect. Looks like based on completing all the missions for the clear times, you can get up to 100,000 coins, I believe, and then 100 of the star coins. So that's actually some pretty decent rewards out of just completing the missions. It looks like it's going on till April 15th. So yeah, I think season 10 just ended, so season 11 is probably when all this is going to take effect. So alright, so we went through all the important stuff with the news. Let's go ahead and take a look at the additional maps. And I've only gone through map 6, like the very first level, level 1 stages. So I did at least, unlock map 7 to where I can actually take a look at some of the stuff on there. So we can kind of go through it individually. It looks like a lot of these are, straightaways, straight and jumps. This one is also a straight and jump. Let's take a look. So a lot of the combination of straight and jumps. I don't know if there's any uphill. So yeah, this one will be an uphill stage. So you do have to factor in certain, like basically on certain stages, I kind of had to tweak my settings to where I had to add, like a stabilizer and a spoiler with potentially another roller that goes with the spoiler. So there are a couple things you have to kind of go through and make sure you adjust. That one looks to be a corner type course. This one is an uphill and jump course, or circuit, I guess is the right word for it. So a lot of these, like some of these jump circuits, you do run the risk of course outs, or I guess what they call it in game is bounding. So you definitely do want to bring in stabilizers. I typically put the stabilizer in the middle, and then if it's not enough, I'll tend to add a rear spoiler with possibly a course out specific roller attached to it, and that typically kind of takes the job. It gets the job done. My setup is predominantly straightaway oriented, so it's high, it's high speed focused, but also, I do have buffers to kind of get better cornering and stuff like that. Again, I'm still new to the game. I'm not an expert by any means, but I kind of, it works for the time being. I've had to make some makeshift adjustments in terms of like the tire and wheel setups, but for the most part, it seems to work out pretty well. So this is a jump circuit, so this is another one that could potentially force you into using stabilizers and spoilers, or a heavier set on rollers essentially. This one's a corner and uphill specific circuit. Looks like jumps, and like I said in the news, they do have EXP abilities to where you can actually get the evolution items, or evolving items, or whatever the right term is for parts like Vanguard Sonic, which is one that I really want. It's personally my favorite. As a kid growing up, this is one that I owned, and I was that was definitely my favorite out of the group. So the other good thing is they do give out skip tickets as some of the clear rewards as well, so that'll help. It wasn't as common in some of the earlier maps and stages, so it does tend to help out quite a bit when it comes to farming and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of these are jump circuits, corner circuits. The equipments that are given out with the EXP is pretty nice too. I think it's obviously a lot better because the difficulty is a little bit higher, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think as long as you maintain a decent setting that's somewhat well-rounded. Again, my focus has been a straightaway heavy type setup, but also I'll add in stabilizers and the spoilers and additional rollers if need be, based on if it's an uphill or jump type circuit. So that's pretty much how I tend to have my settings set up. So some of the stages I do struggle a little bit because of the setup I have, and of course, when you summon more, it's going to help out more. But I just literally started not too long ago, so of course I'm missing certain parts and items that I need to really get a good system going. So outside of that, I mean, it's some pretty decent EXP items. Super Chastity 1, 12mm roller. And I think the last one looks like, the Race Stinger part. This is one I actually had as well when I was a kid. I remember spray painting this one to like a chrome color and rocking it as a young kid. So this one looks like the small low height double sponge front. This one's the rear version. So yeah, I mean, you can still get the blue EXP, metals or gems and whatnot. So a lot of good stuff. I'm actually glad they did increase the additional amount of maps. It's always nice to be able to come up with new ways to farm stuff. So I definitely, enjoy or appreciate that they added new stages. In terms of like the banner itself, I'll probably end up just continuing to save and wait for one that really appeals to me. I'm kind of like a little biased toward wanting certain parts or bodies because of my nostalgic attachment to them. So we'll see how it all plays out. But again, just wanted to cover the information that became available with the latest update and news. So hopefully you found this helpful. And yeah, thanks for watching.